Welcome back. Today's masterclass, we're going to discuss really the differences between a builder and true design build. And there's many differences. I know we've talked a lot about how we're different than a lot of architects and designers. But one of the questions we've been getting a lot from current and future clients is why shouldn't I just go to a builder and go the traditional?
Let's start the process with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are saying, oh, go to your builder, then go find a designer or an architect. And I know that we get that question a lot when people first call in. Well, what is design build? And why should I do why is that the best process for building a new home or a major renovation? And I think we've touched on a lot of different times that there certainly are times where you could just reach out to a builder. And I think for some of these smaller projects, like, potentially, you know, let's just say a bathroom or a powder room. It's very straightforward. You're just replacing things. Uh, I don't think you would always have to go to a design build firm, but I do think no matter what, if you go to a design build firm, you're always going to have a better experience there because everything's going to be handled. There'll be less confusion. But I do think starting with the builder and then going to a smaller project, it's a much better route because the builder's involved right at the beginning.
And we'll get into this in a little bit, but right off the bat, what is that builder pricing? So
Yes.
our whole design process helps define the project. So when you start with or working with a builder only, how are you getting different prices, things like that? We have a process that helps create that plan for the project, the bathroom, the kitchen, the addition, that kind of thing. So we'll talk a little bit more about that.
So I know one of the things that we both say to new clients that are asking us about design build and everything else. I know that the first thing that people get hung up on is the floor plan, how things are looking, the finishes. And what we always say is take one step back from there. How should we actually build this project? And that's what they should be thinking about. How are they going to be the most comfortable? What choices should I make so that they're comfortable in that process? Which, do I go find a designer? Do I find an architect? Do I find a builder? And of course, we always say design build. No matter what you do, you may not choose us as the design build firm, but choose a design build firm because we know as long as the firm that you picked does it properly, you're going to get the best experience out of it.
Then a builder is going to say, this is how we build and this is what we build. And you're not going to have as many options and as much say and part of the creation of the designs. And that's going to be a big difference.
I think one of the sort of the pitfalls of the design bid build process is because we did it. We did it for really the first 5, 6 years before we went to design build because we saw all the flaws in that system. Was you get a set of plans from the architect, and right off the bat, first off, for the most part, you need it to be the cheapest price. So what are you going to do? You're going to look for mistakes that are on your drawings. You're going to try to find things that were omitted by the architect or the designer. And you're putting in the back of your mind, okay, I know that these change orders are going to add to my contract. And all builders are doing it. So what happens is the homeowner thinks, okay, I got this bid, really liked meeting with whatever builder it was. I feel very comfortable with them. And then day one, change order. Day two, change order. And all of a sudden, that trust that has been built up during the process of bidding is now eroded away. And really, it's funny because I was reading an article the other day, and I know we talked about it. Uh, Basically, why are homeowners usually not happy with a builder? And it's funny because if you look at some of the surveys, a lot of the things that are said, it's about builders or it's about the designer. It's not about design build firms. So what happens is that trust is eroded very quickly because now all of a sudden this price that you thought you had to complete whatever project it was is now gone up. And the trust there is, well, okay, if you saw those mistakes on those plans, why didn't you bring it up?
Right.
And it's like, well, okay, a lot of different reasons, but you wouldn't want to add into your contract to be more expensive and show where because then you're not going to get
Right,
chased.
exactly. So they would have the lowest price and say, well, we didn't have that included. Whereas we are having these discussions, we know what's important to you in the project, and we've included those things in the design. And so that carries through all the way into the building of the project, and we're still involved through the whole process. So it's not just handing off.
Right.
We know that we discuss this. This has to be in the design, it has to be in the build, and we're still out on the project with you, and we're saying, this is priority number one. This needs to be done because this is what you wanted to see in this project. So it's not, oh, this was never talked about, that kind of thing, because and we need to do a change order. That's not how we are. And there's no way that it can happen in the design build process.
Exactly. And I think one of the bigger things is we're giving out realistic numbers from day one. And yes, there's going to be changes throughout the design process. Sometimes it's shrinking the project down to keep it within the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it's expanding the budget because, oh, well, now let's go ahead and address these other issues that we want to do while everyone's here. The best thing about the design build process is they're really in the driver's seat deciding when things are going to be done. Unfortunately, if you have the designer first, the architect first, they're really looking at the project. They're not really thinking about the cost of the project. Mm-hmm. So then the plans, if they were, then you wouldn't have to send them out to bid. You'd say, oh, this is the price. Now all we got to do is just pick a bill.
Yeah.
But we know that that's not the case. So everyone knows early on. I know one of the things that we did the other day, we were in a seminar, and I know that they were Googling design build and what percentages of the projects actually happened. And I know it was around like 98% of the projects that are started. I know with us, because we do so much upfront pricing, by the time we get past the schematic drawings, it's 100%. 100% of the projects that we do past schematic get built. And there's a reason for that because there's no surprises. Everyone knows where things are. The things that are being added onto the contract are being added on by the client themselves, not by us, right. Not by, oh, surprise, this wasn't drawn in. Because even if there's things that are missed on the drawings, which happens to everyone, we've already included on the price. It doesn't have to be super detailed drawings because we've already priced up the project.
And again, it goes back to we've shared that vision, your vision with us, and we're incorporating that and figuring out ways to make sure that it's in there. And because we've done this on a number of projects, we're thinking of ways, how can we make sure that you're achieving your goals while fitting in the established budget? Say, you know what, we can do it a little bit differently, or this is how we can achieve that, and save some money here or there, and allow you to be in control of where those funds are going and making sure that it's being completed the way that you wanted to see the project go.
Yep. And I think one of the key points is that a lot of times people will come back to us and say, oh, you know what? I know we talked about the stone on the outside of the house or some sort of, let's just say, major change. Mm-hmm. And because we were able to save them in other areas and explain to them why, this tile that maybe they went out and saw that they loved, that we could find something different, very similar, but
Exactly.
cost savings there. And they say, you know what, that's fine, those 2 bathrooms, let's do something that's a little less expensive. And yes, I would love to get that accent stone or whatever it may be.
And it's not only finishes, it can be structural, where we know the cost of adding a beam in here, or where can we hide a beam, and what is the size of that beam? How do we incorporate that into the plan? And so it's being worked on throughout the design process, so there's no surprises. Whereas you hand that off to a builder and they're saying, oh, I've got to do this, and this is going to have to drop down, and it's going to be a visible beam here, and change the scope of work. And again, it leads to sort of disappointment. So we're figuring out how we can make sure that your vision is achieved.
Yep. I know when we spoke to Kevin the other day, this is about a custom home, but ultimately, one of the things that he really, stressed to us is I want to make sure that first off, that my budget is realistic. Can I do this house, for my budget? Which we're going to tell you, we're doing the drawings for most design build firms is not the major part. Building the project is the major part.
Absolutely.
Most design build firms are builders first. And then, yes, we incorporate design into what we do. And a lot of times we've been able to incorporate that design because we've been building and we know how things go together. And I think that's what's lost with a lot of designers and builders. And I always ask people, if you're speaking to someone else, do they understand how things go together? Because anyone can draw a picture. Can it actually be built? And that's really where we saw a lot of problems early on is that the pictures are drawn, the plans are handed off, and basically it's like, okay, I always like to say it's like a still shot of plans, and it's not evolving. And I think with design build, our projects are evolving and changing throughout the whole thing. Nothing is stagnant. There isn't just okay, here's the drawings handed to the builder just builds it. It's always, oh, you know what? We know that this view out this window was important to you.
Yeah.
Is this still the view that you thought that it was? Because we can change that window, because we know all the important aspects of the project because we started out day one with the client.
Exactly. We spend time sitting down early on in the design phase to see all the things that are important to you, to get to know you. And so we're incorporating that into the design and the project. You hand a set of prints to a builder after the architect is finished with them, and they have a couple of weeks to even create the price. That's what they're first looking at. They're not figuring out how things are going to be done and how can the design be improved. And it's a whole process for us. It takes weeks, it can take months. So you're part of the team, and so we're working together to make sure that it's in the design and it's not going to be deleted.
I know Kevin, one of the things that he was so surprised is first off, that if you can, which we work with a lot of clients that are, well, out of the area, but also out of the state, not even close by. So, and it's a little different for them because then we have to involve video and FaceTiming and things like that. But people that are in the area, we encourage them to come by as often as possible, because we know what they envision day one. It changes, and also it changes because they have more ideas about how things can go together. Yeah, exactly.
How maybe that, now that I see this, I'd like to change this. But if you're talking with a builder or dealing with them, and they're going to see it as an interruption, they're going to see it as
Right.
A delay and not focus on your needs. They're gonna focus on their own.
They want to start, they
Yeah.
want to finish as
Move
quickly
on to
as
the next
possible.
one.
There's
That's
no,
what they do.
right, there's no, oh, let me make sure that this vision is what we're actually creating out there in the building aspect.
And as we've said in the past, then you have to pull the architect back in.
Oh, yeah.
And that causes a
Delays,
delay.
yep.
So
And money,
it's-
because now you're paying the architect again to redraw and things like that, and then potentially the builder's gone too far, so now they may be taking things back down or doing that. Where
Yeah.
we'll walk out there and say, you know what, I know that's not what they wanted to see. And that's why I say, I know that Kevin, he was shocked that we were saying, yes, if you can come every day,
Yeah.
come every day. If it's every couple days, come every couple days. We have benchmarks when we really want you to be there. Now, we have some people that'll fly in, but a lot of times we are just doing it through video chat. And it's still effective because we're able to discuss, we're able to show them what's going on and get their involvement. Now, we also have clients that, I know that really want to have minimal involvement and understand and trust our decision making, that if we do decide, you know what, let's make this a little bit larger, that they understand that we've been doing this for 35 years and that we have a good perspective. But ultimately, we want to build what they want.
We're building your home and working in your home, and so we understand that. And it's priority number one. Whereas again, they're gonna see it as a interruption if you're coming by.
The builder just wants to get going. The architect, designer have designed it and they've moved on to the next thing. They want to draw. So it's really an inconvenience for any of those changes, where when it's one team, it's one group of people. Dave, Jerry, Jeff calls us from the field and says, hey, wait a minute, this chimney. The one thing is we get our field people involved.
Yeah.
Very early on. Talk to any of our past clients. We're right after we decide that the design is what it should be. We're having the field people involved because they're also looking at it from a different perspective. And they have different ideas too. Oh, you know what? Why don't we do this with the beam? Why don't we do this with the windows and things like that? So it's everyone's input that makes the project really work.
Realizing, and you get to know them, they're again part of the team. So they're realizing you're going to be living here and this is what you want to see. And so that's just an extension of what we've been talking about through the design process. And again, there's no handoff to a stranger, a third party that is trying to interpret what the plans are, interpret what your vision is. We've already done all that and it just continues.
And one quick thing I just want to add in, I don't want to interrupt you, but our project managers are there day one. They're there all day, every day. I know a lot of other builders, they have project managers that run
Travel
1, 2, 3, and some even 4 or 5 jobs, depending on the size of them. Honestly, I don't know how a project manager can really be involved, understand what is important to the client, and be able to be on 3 or 4 different jobs, especially the scope of work. There's too many details.
So I was gonna say, there's too many things going on. It just is every day.
Yes. It's easy enough to miss certain things being there every day. If you're running around to 3 other jobs in the area and trying to keep all those details, and I think one of the things that's a little bit different with us is that custom homes, I mean, we've never built the same home. So the details are the most important aspect of it. It's not like, oh, I built this house 10 times. I know in the back of my mind exactly how this goes together. It's different products. We allow any products to be chosen. We don't just have, oh, we only do Delta, America, Growing, whatever. No, we're picking out different things for every single project.
Yep.
Which makes it more complex on our end, which really pushes towards the design build process and having a project manager that's there all the time, which I think are key questions that, which I know we touched on in other masterclass, but questions that you need to ask your builder. How do you build
How
things?
that whole process goes.
And is that project manager there all the time? And who is my direct contact and things like that? Because if you have people going in and out and there's no one person to really call that's the main person there, you know things are gonna fall through the cracks.
And you bring up an interesting point on the selections and that whole process. That's again, we've through the design phase, we've talked about the different finishes and features that you want. So we want to make sure that we've included that. And a builder may just say, you know what, here's the refrigerator. Let's put this in. We've
Or Craig, even worse yet, oh, just go find an interior designer or decorator. And what happens then is now you've involved a third person. They're just really looking at the selection. They're not making sure that, oh, it fits in this design, or potentially even if it's even going to work in the layout. You know, so then it's like, okay, now there's another person that's potentially adding into the where you may have problems as things start coming together because now these products have been ordered. And guess what? Now it's not going to work out.
Different areas, different groups aren't communicating with each other, and all of a sudden you're going to have some issues.
Yep. I think one of the other things is that we hear a lot of times from past clients is, and a lot of them have done other projects, which is really why they've come to us, because their other projects haven't gone all that great. And they hear from our clients, and a lot of times they still don't understand what design build is. And as we start to discuss it, I know that they say, well, okay, why doesn't everyone do it this way? And there's a lot of reasons why. It's certainly, it's a lot harder to do this. It's a lot easier if I'm just the builder and I just build things. And I don't worry about the design. I don't really worry about what the client is looking for. I just build, you know, and there's many good builders out there, but you better have a great set of plans and you better make sure that everything communication. Where does everything fall apart? No matter what job you're in.
Pointing fingers.
If you don't communicate clearly and everyone understands what's going on and it's repetitive, it's not just a single communication, it's multiple communications all the time.
And all of that is you're making a major investment into your home, the project, and we're investing into the project too. It goes back to what you said earlier, how we want to not only just design the project, we want to build this project. So we're working with you to a common goal to make sure that you're happy. We'll talk about that. It's we want you to love where you live, and at the end of the day, it's our we take it personally to bring that to you.
And that's a great point, because I know that a lot of times people are a little confused as we ask questions up front. We have 2 different surveys we send out. We're trying to find out a lot of different things. But one of the main things we're trying to find out is, are we a good fit for you? And are you a good fit for us? Because ultimately, we are a small company. We only have 3 project managers.
Right.
And so we have to make sure that the project, that it really is a good fit for us. And that we're really going to be able to, you know, help you get the project done that's needed. And a lot of times, as we explain what the design bid build process is versus just design build process, people tend to start to understand why the design build process is so much better. I think they come in a little, not necessarily uneasy, but a little unsure that is this really the right, like, why isn't everyone doing this? Why are you telling me that this is so much better than I always thought you just called the architect or designer, we get something designed, then we go out and we bid it, and that's the way it happens. And we know we can, the history of it, there's a lot involved with that, but basically, this process has been around well, this was what was around hundreds of years ago. Now, it went away from it in the early 1900s, but it's going back to this process where you are hiring somebody that understands the design, comes up with the best design with the budget, and the builder is all under the same roof.
That's what I was gonna say is key is we're focusing on the investment level that has been established. We work together through that. Again, in the early stages of preliminary design, so we're focusing and making sure that we're within the established budget versus having a set of drawings created and then it can't be built for that price, or someone has cut something out to get to that price. So it's this process works, and it eliminates the hurdles or minimizes them so that we're working together to get this project done.
I think John made a great point in our last discussion that we had just last week was he saw, and he's done what I believe 3 custom homes before he came to us with other builders and quite a bit of remodeling. He saw it as sort of proactive being versus reactive. And one of the examples that he was using was is that as you were coming up with the final design for his home, we were picking things out and showing where, you know what, Scott, this could be a problem here. And, let us show us a different way. Yes, we can. So they brought pictures and things that they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Yep, we can do this, but let's do this slightly different. Where a lot of times, if you don't understand how it goes together, you just go, oh yeah, we can do this. This roof line will work, and then all of a sudden you're out there with the framer and which we would be out there with the architect when we were early on doing it that way, saying this roof line isn't going to work, but you could draw it on a piece of paper, so of course it's going to work. And he really liked how you were identifying a lot of the potential issues during the design process, not during the building process. We now things are still going to come up during the building process where changes are going to be made, but for the most part, we were picking up on the things that were going to be potential issues with how he wanted to design his house.
Where a builder would say, "Oh, we needed to add this beam in here, or this point load didn't line up."
Right.
And so here's a change order for the
goes back to the surprise. Oh, now the cost is more.
Yeah. So again, that pointing of fingers and who's ultimately responsible, and you don't want that in this whole process.
It ruins the experience.
Exactly.
And the experience and the end result is the most important thing. You can have many people and we've gone out and we've seen houses that are beautiful, but what people remember was the process.
Yeah.
And if the process is horrible, the end result, it can be marred by that. I mean, because we've walked through some gorgeous houses, but what did they talk about? Not how well the trim work was or anything else. They talked about how they had to come in and run the subs and make sure that people were getting done and, keep them on their timeline. And, oh, didn't you know that we signed this change order to the tile guy or the HVAC guy? Because no one was really communicating a lot of those things to the people that were out there doing the work.
Or worse, you had sleepless nights because you were the one that was in control and you got that done. That's what happened with John a lot. He's like, the only way this house got done on time or the way it was done is because I had to jump in and get this done and negotiate for this.
And
And
he's
things
not
like
looking
that.
for another full-time job. How many times did he say that?
Exactly.
John, you're not gonna have to have a full-time job, because that's our job.
Yes.
One of the things that I think also that really sort of, I hate to call it like the business model, but design bid build, change orders, it is part of that whole process, which there's no way that everything's going to be conveyed. There's no way that things are going to be shown exactly the way they need to be done on the drawings.
They interpret it differently.
So
And
it's,
so
yes. So the problem is that it's going to be part of the whole process is the change order, which then goes back to now the price that I thought I was going to pay for this has changed drastically. And I'm still getting the same thing. Now, does the price change with us? Sometimes, but it's all client driven changes. It's not us saying, oh, well, now we need to do this, or now we need to do that. It's here is the price, and then the client says, well, you know what, let's go ahead and expand this out, or you know what, let's go ahead and add this fireplace in it, or let's go ahead and do these heated floors, or something
Exactly.
like that. They're all client driven changes, which makes the experience better. And I think you also get, well, and we've talked already a little bit about this, but I think it's like, okay, so the architect drew it, architect designed it, the builder built it, and a lot of times the client goes away, okay, I don't trust anybody in this whole sequence, because I thought the architect was going to draw everything at the, well, now I found out, okay, and it's impossible. You can't put everything on a set of plans, which is why also we have our standards that we talk to people about early on. The zip system. We have so many different things that are just standard in our building. And that way there's not, well, those aren't any surprises. Oh, you know what? Guess what? We've never done this type of system. We've never done this before. Those details are there. They're all on our drawings, and our subs know exactly what they're.
Well, and imagine if something's important to you and you have a discussion with the builder and say, well, I talked to the architect about this. He said it was gonna be in there, and then it's,
Yes.
it got overlooked or for something, some reason, but. Again, that's in our process, we said, you know, look, yeah, we had this discussion and this is the way it's going to be, and this is, what you wanted to see, and it's gonna be put in there.
Which is exactly what you were saying earlier, is the time is spent up front to make sure that everything is in the process before the building starts. The problem is design bid build. The designer, okay, how do they make the most money? Designing as quickly as possible and getting the product. If they have 20 pages, they're not getting paid anymore for 20 pages. They're getting paid typically a percentage of whatever the contract price is. So they get 8, 10, 12%, sometimes higher. So why would they spend 2 extra weeks to make sure that everything's going? Yeah, no, we're gonna give it to the next person. The builder's gonna, okay, they're gonna bid it. Oh yeah, there's stuff missing. Okay, well now I'm just gonna bid it this way. And that process in itself is just not, it's not a client-based process. It's really a designer builder process, and really the client is the one losing out. With design build, it's okay, this is the price. The contract is done, the drawings are done. There's just one person, and if something is missed, a good design build firm will take responsibility for it and correct whatever has happened. Because ultimately there's no finger pointing. There's only one company, it's us.
I think another advantage is that's we're during this early process, we're realizing, or we may come to, you know, you may decide, you know what, I want to do more on this house, or I want to do it the next phase.
Yes.
But imagine with the architect, you don't know that until you've given the plans out to
Right.
2, 3 different builders, and you get all these prices that are coming in. We're already we can see that coming and say, you know what, hey, maybe you want to do this in stages, and we design that way. And we also are pricing it out. We've done that on a couple of different projects lately where, hey, this is phase one and here's phase two, but we have the big picture in mind. Whereas a builder's going to get a set of prints, just build that. And like you said, their business model is get it done, move on.
Yeah.
We're here for the duration. We're building a relationship with you. And we want to be there for you for phase two, phase three, because it's all been planned out in the early stages.
Which I think is a great point, Craig. I mean, look back at all the clients we've had over 30 some years, and most of the clients that haven't moved out of here, we're still in touch with. They still call us about things. They still ask us questions. And that's really what we're looking for. One of the things that I do think you really get with the design build process is a realistic timeline, because we understand what it's going to take. Plus, we're in control of everything. So we're ordering things that we know that need to be ordered prior to construction. So you're not waiting for something to come in. If a builder gets a set of drawings, the permit's already pulled, they start. Oh, okay, well, now let's look through these selections. Oh, okay, well, guess what? You need this, this, and this. Oh, well, this tile's coming from Italy. Well, guess what? We're not gonna be able to touch that bathroom because,
We'll see you in 6 months, a year, or
Yeah.
something like that.
but we'll go ahead and tear apart the rest of your house and do everything like that. Now, we've already planned those things.
And that is true with permitting. We know we're already starting to think about, okay, when do we need to get this into permitting?
Exactly.
So that, and when do we have the next potential spot open for you? So we're working sort of backwards. So we know, let's keep going on this. And we could multitask, if you will, get this version in for permitting and still, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
You know, make some minor changes on finishes or work through
We
the
have a
selection.
permit set of drawings, we have a building set of drawings. The
Exactly.
building set is gonna be the complete set, and the permit set is really just for the permit. One of the things that you, great point, is the permits. And I know that a lot of times the first question we get is, who's pulling the permit? Because we know homeowners
Yeah,
are pulling,
the architect.
they draw
They're
it, okay,
supposed
you
to
go get it,
pull
yep,
it.
yep. And so it's like, nope, we handle everything in-house. We'll pull the permits, we do the structural, we help you with all the selections, we have an interior designer. We can help you with everything from start to finish. We're not saying, oh, go find a landscape architect. No, we can do all those things. We can take care of the outside, the inside. We're not just the builder that builds the house. And that's what you get with a lot of builders. They're saying, oh, you want to get irrigation system done? Oh, you want to get, a heated driveway or whatever for snow and ice? Oh, well, you need to worry about that's outside work. We're the builder that builds the house.
They have these blinders on that we're not seeing the big picture, and that's
which is
things are
easier.
going to get missed.
It's
Yeah,
easier
exactly.
because
That's what
they're the
they do.
builder, and the architect's the architect, and everybody stays in their own lane. The structural engineer, okay, well, you told me you wanted a room this wide open, so I just put a beam in there. Well, okay, there's 5, 6 different ways to put a beam in to structurally hold up that roof, and we're going to stay so that we know that we're getting the best looking, most economical, and the best really design in the end.
And one, I think, important point is working on the designs. We could put that into our CAD system so that you can see it almost in real time.
The
So
walkthrough,
you're seeing
yes, yeah.
These potential changes in how does this look like what you envision? So you're able to see that.
Those realistic drawings are amazing to do. It's like I'm like it. You have to actually look closely to tell if it's truly a photograph, and it's like, well, how could I have gotten a photograph? We haven't even built it yet.
Exactly. And try going to a builder to say, hey, what's this going to look like?
Right.
Or okay, well, let's go back to the architect and pay more, as you said. So it's such a great service, I think, and it just really, and that way we feel confident that we're on the right track. That we're gonna build this,
Yeah.
and you're gonna love it.
I always like to say. Design build is not a contract. It's really a partnership that we've evolved with.
Yeah.
And I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but design bid build is really a contract for this, a contract for this, and a contract for that. It's not a partnership to get the project done the way you've envisioned it. And for the uh for the investment level that you're looking to have. There's not there design build, if the process is done properly, there really are no surprises. Because by the time you get to doing the drawings, you know the cost. You know where everything is. And that way, everything that comes together at the end is really just sort of your choices, tweaking things, adding things, subtracting things, oh, let's do something a little bit different.
You're in control. That's absolutely what Scott and I believe in, 100%.
Yep. So if you're thinking about a new build or a major remodel, give us a call. We'd be happy to discuss this any further with you about why we think design build is really the best way to do it. And we've been doing it this way for almost 25 years now.
It's what we do. It's what we love to do.
Yeah.
And love to hear your story and your vision and see how we can bring that to life for you. That's our goal.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks and have a great day.
Bye.